Good evening, everyone. Good evening, kings and queens. Thank you for joining us this evening here on the Tammy Talk Show. I'm going to give you a few minutes to get on, some more of my friends to tune in so you can hear what we got to talk about on this evening. I have my wonderful guest here. I'm going to introduce her in a minute, but I want you all to know that our topic today is suddenly a caregiver. And I'm gonna wait a few more minutes so I can see
Okay.
people that's coming on. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Yes, yes. Let's see. Okay, I see it's quite a few all right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say good evening again. Thank you all for joining us this evening here on the Tammy Talk Show. And our topic today is suddenly a caregiver. So many of us may find ourselves in that position where in a moment's notice or something suddenly happen, you become a caregiver. You can become a caregiver of the mother or father, your husband, children, any one of your loved ones. All of a sudden, you are a caregiver, and it could be unexpected. I have a guest here today. My guest, Crystal Payne. She want to share her story with you all today. I've known her for some years, over 20 something years. Yeah, when we was in New Birth.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a member of my church there. But I've seen her do some great things, and all of a sudden something happened in her life. And I just wanted her to share her story with us on today. The first thing I want to ask you, Crystal, is how you doing?
I'm doing great.
That's good. I'm fine also. I'm so glad to have you. I'm so glad you accepted my invitation to come on the show tonight to talk about your story and how you became a caregiver all of a sudden. But my first question is, tell us a little bit about you and your career background.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me
Hmm.
and let me speak on the subject at hand.
Uh-huh.
Um, well, for all those who don't know me, my name is Crystal Payne. I'm 65 years old. I'm retired for 10 years now, and I used to work for the City of New York Department of Social Service Human Resource Department.
Hmm.
I held various positions working for the city of New York, but my last position before I retired was a divisional director for the Medicaid program for all of the city.
Okay.
And also, I was a director over the call center for the city of New York as well. Um, I'm married. I have three grown children. Actually, one turned 44 today,
Hmm.
a 38 daughter, and a 35-year-old son. So three are grown. They're all on their own with their kids, doing
Yeah.
their own thing.
Yes.
I've been married for 46 years and counting. And I was suddenly put into a position of being a caretaker.
Hmm. Okay. Out of all the things that you shared with us, you didn't mention. Yes, you just did mention caregiver.
Oh,
Can you share with us how you became a sudden caregiver?
okay. 8 years ago, in 2012, is when I became a caregiver.
Hmm.
One day I came home from actually was planning my daughter's wedding,
Yes.
and we were out at the store. And when I came home, I found my husband on the floor.
Oh.
He had a stroke.
Hmm.
He was laying there for at least, I would say, about 6 hours from
Wow.
from the time that I left the house to the time I came back.
Yeah.
Um, During that time, and I say 6 hours because when I found him, he was in his pajamas. So
Hmm.
that meant it was early on in the day when he had the stroke. It was probably soon after I left the house.
Hmm.
So rushed him to the hospital. They did all their procedures and things. And if I could just share with you a little bit about strokes.
Yes, you can.
Okay, there are three types of strokes that one could have.
Mm-hmm.
One is called the ischemic stroke.
Okay.
Okay, that happens when blood flow through the artery that supplies oxygen rich rich blood to the brain becomes blocked. I mean,
Oh.
you're not getting any oxygen to the brain,
Mm-hmm.
and the cells are dying. Then
Yeah.
you have a hemorrhagic stroke, which is it happens when an artery in the brain
Mm-hmm.
leaks blood
Mm-hmm.
or ruptures. The leaked blood puts too much pressure on the brain cells and causes them to be damaged.
Wow.
Okay, and then the last one is called a transient isthmatic attack,
Wow.
also known as a TIA.
Uh-huh.
Now, a lot of people may have heard of TIA. That is also known as a mini stroke.
Okay.
Okay, and the difference between a regular stroke and a mini stroke is that different. I'm sorry. Blood flow to the brain is blocked only for a short time, maybe 5 minutes.
Okay.
So you can have a symptom of one of the symptoms for a stroke, which I will let you know what some of the signs of a stroke are.
Yes.
But with the TIA, it's only blocked for a short amount of time, and then you're back to normal. So a lot of us don't even know when we're having mini strokes.
Whoa.
We could have them in our sleep. We can have them during the course of the day. You might feel a headache. That's one of the signs of a mini stroke. Not that everybody who has a headache is having a stroke. So don't
Right.
get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you might have trouble seeing in one or both of your eyes for a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's another symptom. Trouble walking, dizziness, loss of your balance or lack of coordination.
Mm-hmm.
That's another symptom. And a sudden, severe headache. Now, from the people that I've spoken to who've had strokes, you try to find out what happened right before the stroke.
Uh-huh.
Most of them don't remember. My husband didn't remember. He
Wow.
doesn't remember anything from when he had the stroke, when he hit the floor, because he did hit the floor.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't remember any of that.
Wow.
So it could have been also you can get numbness or weakness to the face.
Mm-hmm.
Now those are some of the signs.
Yeah.
Now in with the signs, I don't know if you could see this chart here. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see it. Uh-huh.
Okay. This is what you can follow if someone or you think someone may be having a stroke. And
Okay.
it's called it's a the word is fast. So if you think of the word fast,
Mm-hmm.
each letter stands for something.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just get this straight here.
Okay. This is some
Okay,
good information. Yes.
so fast. If you think like someone's coordination may be off, or they all of a sudden are suddenly dizzy, and or you're talking to them and they sound kind of funny, they don't sound like themselves. They
Yes.
they may be going through a stroke. So
Okay.
if you do the word fast, acting fast is the key for a stroke.
Yeah.
So the F, what you is their face. F stands for face.
Mm-hmm.
You would look at them. You would ask the person to smile.
Yeah.
If you see one side of their face drooping when they
Mhm.
smile, and here's a picture. I don't know if you can see it too well.
Bring
Oh,
it over this way.
that
There you go.
okay. The first one
Uh-huh.
you can see. Am I holding it the wrong way or what?
Yeah. Turn it around.
This way.
Again. Okay. Like
Oh,
that. No, no. There you go. We can see it that way. We just turn our head to the side.
I can do it this way. Hold up. Let me position it right. Nope, that's upside down.
There you go. Right there. Yeah.
Oh wait, okay, there. For
Yeah.
face, if you are talking to someone and you see that their face is drooping,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's the opposite for me. That's why.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, their face is drooping or it looks crooked.
Uh-huh.
That's a sign. The next sign you also look is their arm. You ask them to raise their arm. If you see that one arm is like kind of not raised, like it's a weak,
Yes.
they're not even.
Uh-huh.
That's a sign they're having a stroke.
Wow.
Also, with their speech, you
Mm-hmm.
ask them to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can ask them to repeat a simple phrase. And,
Yeah.
and if it's not coming out right,
Uh-huh.
that's a sure sign
Yeah.
that stroke. Okay, and the last one is time. It's time to get them to the hospital.
You go
Call
to
911.
yes, yes.
Because what's most important is a person who's having a stroke.
Uh-huh.
The hospital normally administers a drug
Mhm.
for someone. It's called a blockbuster. I don't know the medical name for it, but that's what it stands for. To
Mhm.
block the blood clot. I mean, burst the blood clot that's traveling to your brain.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but it's only administered in the first 3 hours of the stroke.
Okay.
So if you're not there for the first 3 hours, they cannot administer that drug to you. You would just have to ride it out with the symptoms that you had.
Oh.
My husband wasn't able to get that drug
Mhm.
because by the time we calculated how much time he might have been out on the floor, it was past the 3 hours. And if they give it to you past the 3 hours, it can cause more damage than the stroke.
Mm. Mm.
So they don't want to take the chance of giving you that
Yeah.
more than 3 hours.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, let me see what else I could tell. Oh, when people have strokes, they have it usually on one side of the brain.
Mhm.
If you have a stroke on the left side of your brain, it affects everything on the right side of your body.
Okay.
So if the stroke is identified on your arm, will be either weak or
Mhm.
paralyzed, all the way down the whole side of your body, your face, your eyes, everything will be affected.
Mhm.
Also, on the left side of your brain is the brain cell that controls your speech.
Mhm.
So if you have a stroke and it's on the left side of your brain, 9 times out of 10, you will have problems with your speech.
Okay.
More so than someone who's had it on the right side of the brain, which affects the
Mhm.
left side of the body.
Mhm.
They would have more more problems on the opposite side.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, there's also something called aphasia. I don't know
Mhm.
if anyone has heard of aphasia, but
Mhm.
aphasia happens to people who've had a stroke or any kind of brain injury. Because
O
this is not only for strokes, this is for people who may have Alzheimer's, dementia, uh,
okay.
some of the other the diseases that are out there. But mainly they look for it in stroke survivors. They don't call them stroke victims; they call them stroke survivors.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay, so aphasia is a disorder that results from damage to portions of the
Mhm.
brain that are responsible for your language. For
Mhm.
most people, there are areas on the left side hemisphere of the brain. Aphasia usually occurs suddenly, often as the result of a stroke or a head injury, but it may also develop slowly, as in the case of a brain tumor,
Mhm.
an infection in the brain, or dementia.
Okay.
The disorder impairs the expression and understanding of language as well as reading and writing. Aphasia may occur with speech disorders such as uh, give me a minute to figure out what this word is. Dysarthria
Mhm.
or apraxia of the speech. Now my husband Eric, he has aphasia,
Mhm.
and that's because his stroke was on the left side of the brain. He's paralyzed on the right side of his body,
Mhm.
so he has no function of his right arm at all. He
Wow.
can't he can't do anything. His legs, he's able to walk, but short distances because the leg is just not as strong as the legs on the other side.
Okay.
Now, what happens with a stroke? When your brain cell is affected, it kills that cell. Your
Mm.
cells do not regenerate. What happens when people have strokes and you see some of them recover is because their other cells, other brain cells, take
Mhm.
on the job of the brain cell that died.
Okay.
But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with everybody.
Right. Right.
Okay, so now he's restricted of things that he has to do. And like you say, how did I become a caregiver? I'm also an advocate for him
Mhm.
because he cannot express himself. And
Mhm.
when he first started, he couldn't speak at all.
Yeah.
So that came back with speech therapy. You constantly keep getting speech therapy. Some of your things will come back, but maybe not all.
Okay.
You want me to go on?
Yes.
Okay. So everything may not come back. The most important thing is when someone has a stroke is to get them therapy as soon as possible and
Yes.
as much therapy as they can get. Now,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, our healthcare system doesn't always allow you to get all the therapy that you need because they put limits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, depending on the health plan that you have, you may only be able to be entitled to say 15 sessions
Mm-hmm.
on physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they give you exercises and stuff that you can do at home, to help to reinforce the therapy that they give in the rehab facility.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'll stop there and let you ask me the next one.
I have another question. Okay. I have some questions here. I have someone even ask, how do you spell aphasia?
Aphasia.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's APHASIA.
Okay.
That's aphasia. And now Eric attends an aphasia therapy, which I
Mm-hmm.
found since I've been in Florida.
Uh-huh.
There's only 7 across the country.
Oh.
There's one in New Jersey, there's one down here in Florida, and there's some out west, and I believe there's one in California. But there's not that many of them because I don't know, for years it just wasn't recognized.
Uh-huh.
Now with aphasia, what it is that it doesn't affect your intellect, but it affects you trying to speak out. And there's different people who have different types of aphasia. Now
Mm-hmm.
he goes to an aphasia center that specializes in aphasia. The only
Mm-hmm.
downfall is those aphasia places don't accept your health insurance. You
Oh.
have to pay out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But they do work with you on a sliding scale according to your income.
Okay.
So that's a help. But in watching them, because I go every time he goes,
Mm-hmm.
it's a full day of exercises and things to stimulate you to help you get past where you're stuck at.
Okay.
His is usually from 9 o'clock in the morning to 2 in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and they have classes like you're going to college. Each class is 45 minutes. You change class, you go to the next thing, and what they do with them is they have different activities to reinforce or to help them
Yeah.
be able to speak.
Okay.
Now, there's some people that attend that can't speak at all,
Wow.
but they could do visual by them putting up a sign, a board,
Mm-hmm.
and they write things down, and they can understand that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I have experience just by going with him because I usually stay with him the entire day when he's there.
Huh. Yeah.
I've come across people who are lawyers, doctors, professionals, CEO of companies that had strokes, because
Uh-huh.
a stroke don't discriminate.
No.
And
Mm-mm.
they've had strokes and they lost the ability to do whatever they were doing.
Oh, okay. Wow. Wow.
So you could have all the degrees in the world,
Mm-hmm.
have a stroke,
It can
and
change.
all that education, I won't say it's gone, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not able to use it.
Right. Right.
You know.
Another thing I want to ask you too, because I think you was like getting into the first phase of your retirement
Oh
when
yeah.
it happened, and I know you probably had ideas and thoughts in your mind as to what you was going to do, your plans for your retirement, and this shifted your retirement, and you had to shift from I'm retired from working every day, catching a train, going to the city, coming back home and all this for years. And now I can just lay back, relax, go on vacations. Me and my husband, we just gonna travel the world. And then this happened. How did you feel when that happened?
You know the saying, tell God your plans and see.
Mhm.
Your plans aren't your plans.
Right.
God has another direction and another plan for you to go. I
Hmm.
was retired for 2 years. Like you said, we had plans, what we were going to do. We're going to travel, do this and that. The first 2 years for me were
Hmm.
the hardest 2 years.
Yeah.
It just turned my life around so much that I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to develop a routine, and it
Hmm.
took me a couple of weeks because he was in rehab for maybe about a month
Hmm.
before he actually came home.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to, I guess, acclimate myself to, okay, my life is no longer my life.
Right. Right.
It's a sacrifice that you have to make in order to take care of your loved one.
That's true.
It's not for everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody can't do it. It
Mhm.
all depends on you as an individual. So I can't say that just because you're that person's husband or wife,
Right.
you're automatically going to step in and do what needs to be done, because
Right.
everybody can't handle it.
That's
I've
right.
had episodes where I wanted to throw in the towel and say,
Mhm.
"Oh no, I can't do this."
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, even till today, I have times where I don't want to do it no more. Not
Mhm.
that I can't do it no more. I just don't want to do it no more.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
want my life back.
Right.
But I'll have pity parties with myself,
Mhm.
and then I get over it.
Mhm.
When I get frustrated, he gets frustrated as well as I get frustrated, because
Right.
you don't want to show the person, no matter who it is,
Right.
that they have caused you to not be happy, or changed your life. You
Yes.
don't want to make they feel bad already
Right.
because they have the stroke, and
Mhm.
they're limited as to what they can do. So you don't want to turn around and put some more on them.
Right.
Stroke survivors go through depression
Mhm.
because it's hard for them to adjust to, this is a new way that they have to live. They have to learn how to dress themselves. They have to learn how to
Mhm.
feed themselves.
Mhm.
In the very beginning, I had to do all of that. I had to uh, um, help him take a shower. When he
Mhm.
went to the toilet, I had to wipe him.
Mhm.
Things like that.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to do, but you have to do it.
Right. Right.
As bad as I was feeling, I knew I couldn't just leave him. I had to do it.
Yes. I tell you, even listening at your story right there, I know that can be very heavy upon a person, especially because I knew you all before the stroke.
Right.
All busy, and I used to see and hear you coming back from the going back and forth to work, and then you come to church and just busy doing stuff, and then your life
Hmm.
had slowed down. Even your husband, he was a musician playing music, and him and my husband always getting together playing music, enjoying music, and all of that was just like taken.
Yeah, and because he was right-handed, so
Mm-hmm.
the stroke affected his whole right side. So he
Wow.
had to give up. He still may make a little bit of effort to play the piano, but nothing like he used to.
Right.
You
Right.
know, in my house here, I have a room set up just for music.
Mm-hmm.
All his pianos and organs and everything is set up. He goes in there once in a while
Wow.
and try to do something. But because he did most of his playing with his right hand, it's
Yeah.
difficult for him to do the left hand.
Wow.
Yeah, he can no longer drive. So
Mhm.
I'm driving Mr. Daisy.
You driving Mr. Daisy.
I
Oh,
do I do all the driving.
yes.
It's a lot to
I
handle.
take my hat off to
A
you
lot.
because, I say that a lot on my show because different ones that be coming in with their stories, or what the things that they're going through, it takes special people to
Hmm.
to go through those things and to walk through it. And I know it takes special people to be a caretaker because, like you said, when the people get in that position, they don't want to be in it. And sometimes people can be angry at you when you taking care of them, but they're not really angry at you. Angry at
Right.
the situation that they have been placed in, and it's a challenge for the person that is being the caregiver to do it. It's
And
got to be taxing on your mind, your spirit, and your body and everything. But I commend you for standing with your husband like that and helping him and taking care of him like you do. It's about like, even if you would have to take care of your parents, it's about like you taking care of a child again because you done raised your children and all this, and
yeah.
you teach things all over again. And a lot of people can't handle that. I've seen caretakers walk away from it and say, I'm not doing this. or put them somewhere, put them away. But it's
Right.
just good that you didn't even think about, I haven't put your husband away. You doing what you need to do to take care of him, and that's love. I thank God for the love that you have like that. People need love like that. I have another question here though. What are some of the recommendations for people to become a good caregiver? Because some people are doing it now and it's like it's a struggle for them. What kind of advice could you give them that could help them
You
along
know,
the way?
I always, like you said, everybody is not a caregiver.
Right.
Um, I always had the phrase in my back of my mind, just about for everything: treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my thing. And if it's a spouse, you got to remember your vows,
Right.
for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, sickness and in health.
Yes.
So this just happens to be the sickness part that
Mm-hmm.
I have to deal with. But the
Right.
most important thing you got to do as a caregiver, you got to take care of yourself,
Right.
because you are no good for that person that you're taking care of if you're not taking care of yourself.
That's true. That's true.
And and it can be very hard and stressful. Like you said, it's like raising a child all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do, from the point of him having a stroke, I
Mm-hmm.
have to think and plan.
Yes.
Even if it's going to the grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
you have to think and plan, because you got to remember the person may or may not be able to walk.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to look at, well, does the store I'm going to have a scooter that they
Right.
could ride in? And I
Right.
have to teach them how to drive the scooter.
Yes.
Okay, so do they have a scooter, or you have to keep a wheelchair in your trunk,
Yeah.
to get around, because even right now he can't walk no more than about maybe 20 feet.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because the weakness in the leg. So you
Yeah.
try to, and they're stubborn too. The person that you with may not want to do exercise that you're telling them to do at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like with him, he would cooperate with the therapist, the physical therapist, but when we go home and try to practice those little moves and stuff, he give
Mm-hmm.
me a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always easy. But I've learned trial and error. I've learned over the years what what he needs
Yeah.
and what I need, especially if we're traveling somewhere, like we're going out to the store or even to a doctor's appointment. I've
Mhm.
learned, like, how a mother carries a bag with the
Yeah.
baby's diapers and stuff like that. Well,
Mhm.
I carry a bag also. It's a
Right.
knapsack that I put, and I always put a change of clothes, underwear, soap,
Yeah.
washcloth, because you don't know where you're gonna be and something happens.
That's right.
So
And
it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So
another thing, you have to have patience too. You got to
yes,
really have that on the inside of you.
oh yeah,
The
and I
extra.
and I have times where I get frustrated and
Mm-hmm.
I lose it sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
when I feel that I'm getting that way, I isolate myself from him. I go into another room
Yeah.
and take a deep breath
Mm-hmm.
and kind of regroup.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like in my house now, I did a prayer closet.
Mm-hmm.
One of the closets that I have, I'm able to go in it, sit down,
Mm-hmm.
um, either journal, write notes,
Yeah.
or just read a prayer or in a devotional book or something, like,
Yeah.
just to kind of get myself back into the mode that I need to be back into in order to help them. And I might disappear in my house for an hour in order to
Mhm.
get myself back together. Or if you have a close friend, you can call that close friend on the phone and you can vent to that person. Just let them know how you feel, just to kind of bring yourself back,
Yes. Yeah.
because you're human. Everybody's going to get frustrated, because if you don't do that, you're going to start taking it out on them, and
Yeah.
you're going to start resenting them.
Right.
That's
Right.
very easy to do. And if it's to the point where it's really bad, then you need to seek medical help.
True. That's true. That's
It
true.
could be a mental health issue.
That's right. You can really, because it can be taxing on your mind and
Mhm.
everything. I'm trying to read one of the things that I just seen on here. I think it was Rhonda. She was talking about her mother. She's a caregiver for her mom, and she said her mom is legally blind now, and she have to take care of her. She can't leave her by herself. She said, I had to take an early retirement. Retired last year and became my mother's caregiver because she is legally blind and developed health issues where she can't be alone, especially at night.
Right.
Wow.
And sometimes it, like Rhonda said, it's hard when you're dealing with a parent also. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to seek outside to get extra help.
Right. Could you turn your light on? We can't
Oh,
see that much.
okay. The sun went down. Hold up.
Yes. Wow. Let me see. Do I see any more comments here? You're doing that. You are giving us some good information here. And I'm so glad you're sharing it with us tonight. Yes. Just to hear someone else's story and see what they're going through, it encourage other people, and you giving advice on to how to handle it. I like the part when you said you got your prayer area that you go to and you take the time
Mm-hmm.
and regroup, because a lot of people need to do that, but they feel like sometimes they might feel guilty if I leave the person probably think I'm mad at them, but you need to take that break. That's the advice you're giving them, right?
Yes, you
Take.
have to take time for yourself. And
Mhm,
if they have hospice care where
mhm.
you can call a healthcare center and have somebody come in for 2 hours or however many hours you need, because you need to leave the house just to get a break. Maybe you want to go shopping or something.
Right, right.
They have care providers that can come in and do that for you just to relieve you from your regular duties.
Mhm.
They can sit with the person, they can read with the person, whatever activity you want them to do,
Yeah,
even if it's just sitting with them while they watch TV, just so
true.
you don't want to have them in the house by themselves. Now, Erica can leave in the house by himself, but only for a short period of time.
Okay.
If I leave the house, the most I have ever left him was 2 hours.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then, but he's able, but when I leave him, he cannot cook, he can't heat up anything, he
Mhm.
can't, he makes no sandwiches, he does nothing of that sort.
Okay.
So if I do leave, I make sure he's had his lunch, before I go, and he's usually sitting in front of the TV, and he'll sit there the whole time till I get back.
Wow. Okay.
I'll leave him with the phone in front of him, and I program in
Yes.
his phone
Yes.
my number, so he could just press one number, and he can call me if need be.
Right.
But the thing a caregiver goes through is feeling guilty
Mhm.
when you leave the house, because you need some space.
Yeah.
You always feel guilty because you left. It's like, what if he fell, what if he, and I still go through that when I
Wow.
when I leave. It's mainly, I think, because when I left to go shopping before and came
Yeah.
back and found him on the floor. And we've had incidents, and some of them, they're tragic, but they're funny. We've had incidents where he fell on the floor, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to get him up. He's too
Mhm.
heavy. I can't pick him up.
Mhm.
So I would find ways to help him help himself get up. There were times sometimes when I had to call a neighbor to help me get him off the floor because I just couldn't get him up.
Right.
But
Right.
we've had times where we both fell on the floor, and we sit on the floor just cracking up laughing because how we ended up on the floor. We
Wow.
we like, oh my God, we're both down here on the floor. So we trying to
Yeah.
help each other up now.
Yeah. It's,
So thank God he has a very good disposition. He's
mhm.
always laughing. Everything is funny. He's never mean. Thank
Mhm.
God, because if he was, I don't know if I could have took that.
Yeah.
He might have been checking into a nurse's home.
But some people deal with people that are mean though.
I
When
know.
you can't get
Some people can be very nasty and mean, but thank God he's not that way. And
right.
when you're a caregiver for a parent and for a spouse, it is totally different. A
Yes.
lot of people tell me, "Oh, I was a caregiver for my mother or my father. I know what you're going through." Nope, you don't know what I'm going through. When you are a caregiver for a spouse, it's
Mm-hmm.
totally different, because a lot of times you're neglected
Yeah.
because they can't express their love to you.
Right.
The emotional needs that you have, they can no longer fill.
Right.
And that's totally different from taking care of a parent.
Right. True.
You
True.
looking you're looking for the love and the affection and stuff like that from
Mm-hmm.
your spouse, and you suddenly don't get it. Not
Wow.
because they don't want to give it, it's that they can't give it.
Can't give it.
So that plays a very high role in your relationship.
Mm. Mm.
And this has another note. It's a personality change.
Oh.
Things that he used to do. Because sometimes I look at him, I say, "Who are you?"
Mm.
Because you're not the person that I knew before. So
Yeah.
the personality completely changes, and a
Wow.
lot of people have strokes.
Wow.
Like you're dealing with a total stranger.
Mm. Mm. I can remember him being the nicest person. Yes.
Yeah.
Always laughing, always cracking jokes. And my husband, it's crazy when they got together.
Well, he still does that. That part of him didn't change.
Yes. Keep you laughing.
Another also thing that just came to mind is when
Mhm.
someone has a stroke. A lot of times their yes means no, and their no means yes.
Oh.
They reverse it. So a lot of times when you're talking to them and you ask them a question and they say, "Yeah, yeah," that and it doesn't fit the situation that you're talking about. A lot,
Uh-huh.
a lot of times it's because it's a no, it's not a yes. So
Okay.
what I do with him, because he was confusing the heck out of me a lot of times, I
Mhm.
would I would tell him do a thumbs up for a yes or a thumbs down for a yes. I mean for a no.
Okay. Okay.
That helped distinguish. He'll be telling me verbally yes, but have his thumb down.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So it's that the mind, he knows what he wants to say,
But
but
it,
you can't find the words in your brain to
wow.
actually verbalize
Wow. Okay.
it.
I know you touched on it a little bit, but I want to ask you this. Is there a such thing as caregiver burnout?
Oh yeah. Like I was saying before, I've burned out
Yeah.
number of times over the years.
Mhm.
Like I say, when I burn out, I either go into my prayer closet and read, just read stuff. I have a journal that I keep in there, and I might, for me, it helps me to write things out
Okay.
in a journal.
Yeah.
So I'll just write stuff in the journal, whatever's bothering me at the time, and
Hmm.
then I can look back at it and read it. And I was like, oh, okay, it really wasn't that bad. So yeah, you can get burned out.
Okay. What do you recommend for people that are experiencing caregiver? Oh, you just told me that. That's the question. You already rolled into it. Thank you for answering it. Some people may have great intentions.
Hmm.
Their heart is in it. They really want to be a caregiver for their loved one. And then they realize, I just can't do it. What would you tell that person?
I would tell them to seek help. There are a lot of agencies out there
Hmm.
that, and a lot of health insurance may cover it,
Hmm.
for so many hours.
Okay.
But there are a lot of different health agencies that offer help,
Yeah.
whether it be 2 hours a day, 4 hours a day, it could be 8 hours,
Okay.
depending on what your health plan covers. You can get help. There are
Yes.
a lot of people, and for caregivers, I found a lot of caregiver organizations
Hmm.
that can also give you help.
Okay.
Every year I go to a caregiver expo that they have down here in Florida.
Okay, that's great.
And it's like going to, like, how like at the Jacob Javits Center, they have these big expos on different topics.
Hmm.
And during that caregiver expo, they always have a speaker that speaks on a particular subject.
Hmm.
And they just have literature of all kinds.
Yes.
People that you can get in contact with,
Hmm.
because it may have to be that the person has to go in a nursing.
Right. Might.
Everybody, it depends on how severe the person that you're taking care of is.
True. true. And it's good that they can seek other help and not try to take on this challenge, and they know
Yeah.
it might be too big for them because, like you said, you know, even that you don't want to start being resentful that you got to take care of this person, and this person taking out a lot of your time and being someone like I said, mean to you or whatever, and then the sickness could be so severe that it's too much for you to handle.
Yeah. And also, I have to tell you that when you are a caregiver for your loved one or whoever else you are caregiver for,
Hmm.
you're going to notice that people are going to isolate you.
Yeah.
Your family, your friends, they don't want to come around you. They
Hmm.
don't want to, they don't want to, I think it's because they just don't know what to say or what to
Yeah.
do. But family members distance themselves from you.
Hmm.
Friends that you thought were your friends distance
Wow.
themselves from you. I found out the hard way, I guess, when he had the stroke. People who I thought
Uh-huh.
would reach out
Yeah.
didn't.
That's.
Family that promised to do things didn't
Hmm.
show up. Didn't show up.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
I mean, you were really in it alone,
Oh my God.
and then you find your way through.
Wow.
But it takes time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight because you have to adjust to how they are from how
Mhm.
they were.
Yeah.
And then then another thing I also dealt with was the fear of me getting sick.
Okay.
Like, who's going to take care of me and who's going to take care of him if I get sick?
Right.
So one time after we moved down here, a couple of months I think later, I had gotten very sick.
Hmm. Hmm.
And sick or not, you still got to do your chores. Just like if your children are sick and you're sick, you got to still get up and do what you got to do. It
Hmm.
just so happened my sister was down here and she was able to help me because I was just in so much pain, that I really couldn't do much of anything. I was no good to him or myself.
Wow.
And that was nothing but stress that had built up and built up over the years from the beginning, with me moving and packing
Yeah.
and all of that stuff, and then lifting stuff that I had probably had no business lifting. it,
Uh-huh.
it all came to a head and
Mm.
knocked me on my feet. And
Wow.
that was for about maybe 4 to 6 weeks,
Wow.
that I was in just so much pain that I couldn't do anything.
Hmm.
And then once that passed, the important thing you got to remember is take care of yourself before you take care of somebody else.
That's true. That's true. So you can keep your health up.
Yeah.
Able to help them. Well, I'm sure my audience is enjoying the information that you're giving them. I could see one young lady said that the isolation is the worst. Being isolated by yourself is, I guess she's explaining, saying that it take a toll on you when people
Mm-hmm.
be around you and encourage you while you're going through this, because you need people around you around that time. But a lot of times people do isolate you and don't want to be around you.
Yeah.
Maybe you tired, you're doing a lot, you're dealing with a lot of stuff, but sometimes you need that time out for them to just give you a call or to take you out to lunch or do something for a few minutes just to get out the house. And that will help a whole lot.
Yes.
I thank you so much for the information you've given us, because a lot of people don't know. I didn't know all of the different signs that to look at and to pay attention to when you're having a stroke.
Right.
I just thought it was just one stroke. I didn't think there was, three different kinds of strokes that are out there, and
Yeah.
the mini strokes. Yeah, the mini strokes. I heard a lot of people say I had a mini stroke. I had 3 mini strokes. I'm like, what is a mini stroke? So now I know what a mini stroke is. I could have looked it up,
Mhm.
but still,
Right.
still to hear the information coming from somebody, you hear a lot of this stuff on TV. They tell you if you do this, you might have a stroke, your blood pressure stays so high, you might have a stroke, but they won't tell you the signs that you're having a stroke and how fast you have to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
And that is very essential. You got to get there in time enough to stop what is progressing in your body. I'm
Right.
glad you shared that with us. I have another question here. The CDC said the number of people 65 years older and older is expected to double between 2000 and 2030 with having strokes. Whoa.
Yeah.
I guess so because of what we're going through right now. There's a lot of stress that is compacting and building upon because sometimes it could be stress, it could be what you're eating, it could
Hmm.
be not taking care of yourself, it just could be life. You
Right.
know, life just happened and that will happen to you. Okay, how are you and your husband doing now? You know, even
Uh,
though those
well,
years.
he's still, yeah, he's still suffering with the same issues as far as the paralysis, on one side of his body. His speech is very severely affected. A
Mm-hmm,
lot of times I don't understand what he's trying to tell me, and we go through it over. No, what did you say? What did you say?
mm-hmm.
And I have to repeat back to him something he says. When I repeat it back, then he realizes I didn't say that.
Okay.
So just hearing it back sometimes will correct the problem. He's able to pretty much, well, he's able to walk. He walks with a cane,
Mm-hmm.
so that improved. He's able to walk. He's able to do his like dress himself, give himself a shower, shave himself.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just tell him don't do it if I'm not in the house with you because you can fall in the shower or whatever. And
Right.
he has fell,
Mhm.
and by falling that causes another problem.
Right. Right.
You might need stitches or stuff like that. So, but for the most part, he's stable. They stopped his therapy
Okay.
because with therapy, if when you reach a plateau where that you can't really improve anymore, they,
Mhm.
they took it to the point where, okay, we see there's no more progress.
Yeah.
They will stop it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So with the physical therapy, I mean, you can still do physical therapy at home,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he had a setback not too long ago because he had to have a hip replacement.
Okay.
And when he had the hip replacement,
Mhm.
it seemed like we relived the stroke all over again.
Oh, okay.
Because when they put him under anesthesia, which everything went fine with the hip replacement, but
Mm.
the anesthesia took him back to the point where he had the stroke. That
Mm.
meant he could not walk at all. He
Mm.
could not. He couldn't go to the bathroom by himself. He couldn't do anything. It was like, and I was in a panic because I'm like, oh my God, here I go again. So,
Mm.
so he ended up having to go to rehab, which they
Mhm.
was trying to send him home
Mhm.
because now they kick you out the hospital
Yeah.
1 or 2 days later. So they tried to send him home like the next day, talking about we'll send a nurse out, and you have to be a strong advocate for your loved one
Yes. True. True.
because they would have sent him home. I
Mm.
had I had to raise a little bit of something in that hospital.
Right.
So absolutely, he is not coming home. He
Mhm.
has to go to a rehab facility because I cannot handle him at home.
Right. Right.
And they after a while, after our discussions back and forth,
Mhm.
they asked me where I wanted him to go, which was a good hour and a half from where I live,
Mhm.
only because that was the best rehab facility for him. And
Okay.
they kept telling me, but it's so far from your home. I said, it doesn't matter how far it is from my home. He
Right.
has to get the care.
That's right.
I'll get there if I can't get there every day, but I'll get there. But he has to have the care. And when
Right.
they got him to the rehab facility, they in turn agreed with me. There was no way he could have went home.
Wow.
They
Wow.
had to teach him how to walk all over again.
Mhm.
It's like something happened with that anesthesia. It took him 3 days to come
Mhm.
out of that anesthesia completely,
Wow.
even though he was awake.
Uh-huh.
But he couldn't. Nothing would function. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So they had to work with him to get all that back. He
Mhm.
stayed in the rehab for 23 days.
Mm.
After the 23 days, they wanted to send him home. I said,
Mhm.
nope, he can't come home. He
Mhm.
cannot come home until he can go to the bathroom by himself.
There you go. Right, right, right.
When he can walk to that bathroom, he can come home. Other than that, he can't come home. So what they did was they sent him to a nursing home facility for
Mhm.
another 7 days.
Mhm.
And he got rehab around the clock for that. So I
Right.
just say to anybody who has a loved one that has any kind of a brain injury,
Yeah.
make sure they go to rehab. Do not let them come home. and,
Right.
and they send you home and they say, oh well, you can have outpatient rehab.
Mhm.
Get inpatient rehab, because they do the inpatient rehab is an all day rehab. They
Oh,
be in rehab for maybe 4 to 5 hours in the day. They
yeah.
only break for lunch, they go right back to rehab. Where
Okay.
if you go into outpatient, you're only going for an hour and you're coming home.
True. True. Wow.
So make sure they get full rehab.
Be
And
a
and if
speak
you feel,
up.
yeah, and if you feel like you can't handle them at home, don't let them send them home.
Right.
You have that right. Don't let them come home.
That's true. I have a question here. How do you think your husband feel about his condition?
Uh, well, of course he doesn't like it.
Mhm.
He gets frustrated. He gets sad. He won't talk about it.
Mhm.
I can tell when he goes into that mode where he's not happy. The most thing that accepts him is two things: playing the piano, because that was his thing with
Mhm.
music,
Mhm.
and not able to drive.
Wow.
He's still upset to this day
Mhm.
about not being able to drive and not being able to do his music.
I know. He played wonderfully.
And because he's not computer literate,
Mhm.
like to get on an iPad and stuff like that, he was never that before he had the stroke.
Mhm.
So when you never had that skill before,
Right.
it's harder to pick up after.
True.
Which that saved a lot of people who have had strokes. They can use the computer. I've got him a lingraphier machine. Looks
Mhm.
just like an iPad,
Mhm.
but it talks to you. You
Okay.
can you can do it's like speech language. It's like a
Mhm.
speech therapy, but the speech goes along with pictures.
Yeah.
So if he can't to verbally tell me, he can press a button on that iPad, and
Mhm.
that will tell me. Like if he wants to say, "I'm in pain,"
Mhm.
you know, there's a key there. They show a picture of somebody who looks like they're in pain.
Okay.
He can hit the button, and the picture would say, "I'm in pain."
Okay. Wow.
Or I'm sleepy, or I'm
Mhm.
tired. It
Mhm.
has different pictures. It's a lingraphia machine. It's a
Oh,
tablet, actually.
mhm.
The insurance pays for it, so it's not that you got to come out of pocket with it.
Okay. Good.
And it's a good therapy device that can help you along. He
Right.
hasn't used it lately, but he was
Mhm.
using it.
But it's something that people can have in their house for
Yeah,
those that not verbal and can still use their hand or something. It's
right.
something people know whether they have a headache, stomach ache,
Yeah,
or
that,
sleepy. Just,
right. That they can't verbally tell you what's wrong with them.
that's
This machine will assist them.
great information, Crystal. Well, I know a lot of people don't know, may not know this, but I'm glad you're giving them that information.
Yeah,
I see that we had a lot of people on here that was really communicating and listening to what you were saying, and they have been going through a lot of this. And one young lady, she was stating how, like I said, she was saying how the isolation is bad, and then she was talking about, she was saying too that the hospitals don't care; they get you in, they get you out of there. So you got to care about that loved one or yourself to
yeah,
say, I can do what I was doing before I came in here.
yeah. Just like when you had my daughter on last week for the sickle
Mhm.
cell,
Yes.
I was caregiver for her also.
Right. That's what I was thinking too.
So
Yes.
even though my husband's here and he's can't do a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
since she's moved closer to me, a lot of times she's in the hospital, so I run over to the hospital,
Right.
to the emergency room, to
Mm.
make sure she's getting the care that she needs to get. Because when you're in pain, you're not listening to what them doctors are telling you.
Mm-mm.
You can't express yourself. So I step in, and
Yes.
I'm an advocate to help her out as well. So I can't stay as long, but I do what I can for her
Right.
also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You got a lot of food on your table.
Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't stop. Like we travel.
Yes, y'all travel. I see it. Before this pandemic hit, I seen y'all on cruises and everything. I said, y'all better go ahead. But
Yep,
nothing stop you because life still go on and you want to still
exactly.
live your life.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
glad that
mhm,
you didn't let that stop you because a lot of people let it stop them.
yeah. No, because that was one of our goals. When we retired, we wanted to travel.
Right.
So we do it. We just do it in a different way. We just had to find the way that works for us.
That's right. That's right. And that's why it don't harm the marriage. It'll help the marriage. We still together. We traveling. We
Right.
in one life. And I'm not around you all, and I wouldn't know from a distance. But I could just feel in my spirit. I know your husband appreciate everything you doing for him, and my audience and myself. We just so grateful that you shared your story with us.
Oh,
And you, like you said, you have to take care of your daughter sometime, and you was her caretaker growing up, with the condition that she had in her body, the young lady that we had on last week, Erica Payne. But you was there for her the whole time, and then this came upon you. But God, I'll say it like this: God knows who can handle it.
yeah. Because
Who's
I often question God too. Like, why did you give me this to take care of? Why
Mhm.
me? But I guess He know better.
Yeah, he knows better. You was gonna put your foot down and just do it.
Yeah.
Because even with the job you had before you retired, you
Oh
was
yeah.
an advocate for a lot of people. The whole state of New York. Yes, you was an advocate, working hard to make sure everybody got what they needed. And God saw that in your hearts. Okay, she's a good one. She's a good caretaker, right here. But I'm so glad you came on to share your story with us.
I'm glad I was able to
You have
share it.
another question? Where is it? Where is it? Yes, you can ask a question. Which one is it? Okay, I see it. She said, "Do she know Georgia just passed the law that she can get paid for taking care of her family member?"
Yeah, I looked into that.
Okay.
If you're a spouse, they
Hmm.
won't pay you for a spouse.
Wow.
If I guess my daughter could apply for that service, she may be able to get paid, but
Mhm.
husband and wife can't get paid for each other.
Wow.
Yeah, I looked into that because all the stuff that I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay, she think you're in New York, but no, she's in Florida. She retired and moved to Florida. Yes, but she's in Florida, not in
Oh,
New York. She was saying, "Oh, she thought she was in Georgia." No, she's
oh,
in Florida. But the law, it might. I guess it's probably here everywhere in that manner about being the spouse.
I hope they change it because I can use some money.
Right, right. That's a
Shoot.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a job. You're right.
that would motivate you. That would motivate anybody. Come on, I can do this because
Yeah,
at the end of the month, I'm gonna get. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
But anyway, I know my sister. She take care of my mom like that, and we go around, and I try to say, my sister said, "Well, Tammy, won't you help out? Won't you take mama to the doctor? I want you to do such and such?" And my mom be like, I want you to take me." And my sister,
Oh yeah.
"They- but this your daughter, this your son, they can help out. But I want you to take me because you know this and you know that and you know the other." And she'd be like, "Okay, mama, I'll take you."
And,
She's
and and Eric does the same thing. I be trying to get my son to take him to the doctor or Erica to take him to therapy. No, I want you to take me.
Yes, yes. And my sister said, well, she's looking into that about that getting paid because it's her mother.
Yeah, I think they do pay for children to take care of parents, but I know husband and wife they won't. I don't know why because we're doing the same thing as if it was a child taking care of a parent.
Right, that's true. That is so true.
Hmm.
Well, honey, I thank you so much for coming on
Oh, you're so welcome.
to share your story with us. I'm sure my audience have got some good information, and they're going to use the information or share it with someone that is going through it,
Hmm.
or look into some of the stuff that will help them. So
Right. And I have some websites that they can
Okay. Yeah,
go
put the,
to for resources.
okay. Tell us.
Well, the American Heart Association,
Okay.
you can get information there.
Okay.
There's also through the AARP.
Mm,
You don't have to be a member. You can just go on the site.
okay.
It's called Stroke Connection
Okay.
.org, and they have a like a magazine subscription that
Mm-hmm.
they'll send you, and it gives you different tips on how to deal with somebody who has a stroke.
Okay.
It also gives you like little articles, different people's experiences. And what they do, they used to send hard copies, but they stopped now, so that everything's digital now.
Okay.
But they will send you an email letting you know, okay, the Stroke magazine is out,
Mm-hmm.
and you can look up stuff there. It gives you a ton of information. It's very helpful.
That's good. That's.
Also you have a aphasia organization.
Mm-hmm.
Just put in the word aphasia.com or aphasia.org,
Okay.
and it will take you to sites where you can learn more about it.
Okay.
And then you also can just put in stroke or information on caregivers
Okay.
in your local area, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll tell you where in your local area you can get help for caregivers.
Okay.
A caregiver support group,
Mm-hmm.
or a stroke support group.
Okay.
I've tried all of those. I've went to support groups, and you're around other people who are going through the same thing you're going through, and
Sure.
they can share some of the things that they have tried,
Right.
and it will help you.
That'll help a lot.
Yeah, so there's a lot of resources out there
Yeah.
to get help.
Yeah. So they got to do that. I'm
Mhm.
so glad you came. I'm gonna say it once again because this is information. This is stuff that we need to know.
Yeah,
We're on the Tammy Talk Show. That's what I like to do. I like to talk with people to give us information on things that we need to know that we may not have known but heard of. But when you get in touch with someone that is experiencing it or walking through it, they can give you most of the details and some in-depth information about it, or personal information about it that can help you personally. So I'm so glad that I'm coming in contact with people that love to come on the show, that want to come on the show and
yeah,
share their story to help somebody. That's another thing that I like about the show that I'm doing. I'm trying to get information out there to help people, to help our local people, to help the people in our area, and those that want to share their story but don't have the platform to share it on. I want them to come on this show to share their story. And I got some more guests that are coming on even soon on the show. You just pay attention, keep your eyes on my flyers as I put the flyers up. I give you the information, what the topic gonna be about, or the subject gonna be about, or what we're gonna be talking about, or if we're gonna be singing on it, or whatever we're gonna be doing. But I want to keep it interesting so people will keep watching. I like for you all to share this information, share it on my page, on your page, go to my page and like it. Go to my YouTube channel and subscribe there. I would like to ask people, please subscribe to the show. We are saying right now that we're trying to help Black-owned businesses, whatever Black people are doing in the area. I'm one of them. I think y'all can see my complexion. I would like for you all to just help me to get my information out there concerning this talk show, because I want to bring people on that won't get a platform to get on to talk about the things that they're going through, or things that they want to share, or to give you a good entertainment or something like this. This is something that God laid on my heart to do. This always have been my dream to do something like this. And I'm so glad that I've been given the opportunity to do this. So please like and share it. Share it and like it and share it. And until next time on Thursday evening, I got a special guest that's coming. I will be putting the flyer up pretty soon after I get off the show. But I want you all to stay tuned for the next thing that will be on. Crystal, again, I would like to thank you
you're
for
welcome.
sharing your story all the way from Florida. And one thing I like about this, it doesn't matter where you are. I
That's
can
right.
reach you and just bring you in. If you have an interesting story you would like to share, just contact me at the Tammy Talk Show. at my email there. You'll see it if you pull up my page. My email will show up. You can email me and I can get some information to see what's going on with you and see if we can share it or not. Okay? Until
Okay.
next time, you all take care. Thank you, audience, for tuning in.
Bye.
Y'all much. I love you much. Good night,
Good night.
everybody.